I think the last time I podcast was March 2020. What day is it? Man, hello everyone. It's me, it's Rena. I'm back. Because I have been knitting throughout this whole, I don't know, what do we call it? Pandemic, quarantine, whatever it is, I'm back. I decided, I've been really kind of reluctant to add to my YouTube channel, but I thought, you know what? I think today's the day. I think I need to adjust this camera just a little bit. Okay, yeah, that's better. Anyway, hello. I'm so sorry I've been away so long, but I've been well, and my family's been well, knock wood. Just knitting, and doing our business. We've been very careful. We've been going to the grocery store. We've been going to the drugstore. We've been doing, Bob's been playing tennis, and I've been going to the gym, and they're super, super careful there. You have to make a reservation to go and all this kind of stuff. So I feel pretty safe because my particular gym is affiliated with a local hospital. So that makes me feel safe and better. And Bob goes to the local YMCA and he has to sign in and do all sorts of COVID write-up and all kinds of things. So, everybody's staying safe. Hey, one of the sweaters I finished during this whole thing is this Hohe Super Summer Simple Sweater. And I love it. Love it. I'm so glad for sweater weather now because I'm in it constantly. And this is just the kind of thing I wanted it to be. I wanted it to be sort of a sweatshirty kind of sweater that I could just throw on with anything. It's a little shorter than I'd like. It's a little below the midriff, but it's fine. It's fine. And Hohe's new pattern just came out, the Ritual sweater, I think. And it's kind of based on this a little bit with some lace and stuff. And, for those of you who know me, I love lace. Anyway, hi, what's been going on with you? Have you all been knitting? Yeah, seems like I'm just gonna bend over and show you just how much knitting I've been doing. A lot. And crocheting and learning different things and self-attended classes. But I wrote up a little thing I was gonna podcast probably last week or something and get a view of my messy craft room. But I just have not felt the need to do it. So I'm glad to be doing it now. And I figured, I thought, I just jump on and do it and not overthink this. But I did a write-up a few weeks ago preparing to do this, and I thought, this would be good because not only am I going to show off my FOs and my whips, but I'm also going to talk about some lessons I learned, which was, this period was a prime time to do that. I've been on Zoom a lot with my knitting crew, and we try to get together via Zoom once a week. We may miss a week or something, but we try to get together at least once a week. And then I think twice during this whole period from March to now, we may have gotten together twice. Socially distant, wearing masks, seriously. So we're super careful because some of us are fragile, and so we just don't even want to attempt anything. We had a birthday drive-by with one of our gals, and so we're trying to keep each other engaged. And I think for the most part, our mood has been, my mood and my husband's mood has been pretty good. During this whole thing. So we have this kind of game where we go and we do takeout from a different restaurant every week. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not, but it's kind of fun to explore these restaurants without having to go. We're still a little bit reluctant about dining inside. I've dined outside a couple of times and it's been fine, but I'm a little reluctant to dine inside, particularly now as we're coming into fall and winter. Hello, I'm Rena. I forgot to do this. I'm the Slow Knitter from Atlanta, Georgia. You can find all of my contact information below in the down bar, and I am on Instagram as a Slow Knitter, Facebook as a slow knitter, and on Ravelry I'm the slow knitter ATL. So you can find me all those places, and I'll list all this. By the way, everything I show you is going to be, a link will be described below, the yarns I've used, the patterns, and all this kind of stuff, in case you want to venture into that land. And welcome back to my subscribers who have, you know, hopefully you're still around, who have been patiently waiting for me. I got a note the other day from one of my subscribers and friends, and she's like, "Are you okay?" And I thought, you know what? I might want to go on and tell everybody I'm fine. Everything is fine. Just knitting. Knitting. And I'm knitting so much that I've caused myself some shoulder injuries. So I've been trying to time myself and take my time. I feel like I'm in a race, even though I'm not. I'm not racing against anybody, but I see everybody's beautiful works getting finished, and I want to like jump in. I want to do it too. And I'm like, okay, just chill, just chill. In some instances, I've lost mojo. In some instances, I've not. So it's been an interesting adventure, but I wrote a whole thing about some of the lessons I've learned during this period, where I've been exploring some things that I have wanted to do for a long time. I still have a lot to explore, but these things I've wanted to do for a long time, and I'm finally getting around to dipping my toe in the water of doing these things. But first, this was done, this was started late. This is the Joji, and all this is linked below, Joji Locatelli's super simple summer sweater. And she did in two colors. This is Berrocco Remix Light. This is sort of a gray, and this is like a black. And what's interesting about this is that you do it all the way down, and you know, it's fun. Make sure the sleeves are right. I wanted to do sort of like bracelet length sleeves, and I did. And it's super comfortable, and this yarn is delightful. In fact, I'm making another sweater with this yarn because I really, really like it. It's utilitarian. It's got cotton and linen and a little silk and a little bit of nylon and some kind of nylon thing. It's a mix of a lot of different kinds of fibers, and it's lovely to work with. It's got like a tweedy kind of feel to it. So I love it. I love it. Plus, all my notes about everything are on my Ravelry project pages. So if you have any questions that may not have answered or addressed here, just check my Ravelry project page on this sweater. And it's just like keeping track of the colors, and Joji writes a beautiful pattern about how to keep track of the colors. And I do it all on Knit Companion on my app, and it's easy to follow. Oh, I have to change colors. Oh, so many this before I change colors. You know, it was super easy and very, very, very fun. So that was one of the lessons I learned, was I really like variety. Like when you knit a sweater and you get to the body part and you go round and round, it can make you a little crazy and a little bored. And that's sort of what I discovered about myself. So I'm going to look at my notes and tell you what lessons I've learned. I picked 5, but I think there's probably more, and if I go into more, then forgive me. This is lesson number 1, was prioritize my whips. I started this year, and I think I said this in my last video, about doing the Gideon method that Wool and Honey in Michigan kind of laid out. Like if you have so many whips, work on one whip for 1 week or 2 weeks, or whatever time frame you designate, and just work on that one whip. And when the time period is over, you then switch to the next whip. And the first one, if you have not finished it, move it to the back of the whip pile. So I've been doing that, and I did that for a few months, and it kind of worked for me. And this was one of the whips that I had on there. I just gotta look down my notes to make sure that I cover everything. Most of you know, those of you who have tuned in here before, know that I am not a monogamous knitter, meaning I don't work on one project exclusively. I work on several projects at a time because I'm easily bored. So by switching out projects keeps me very engaged. Now, the negative side of that is that you don't always finish within a reasonable time frame to finish something, but you get kind of close, and Anyway, that method worked for me for a while until I started to get bored again, or until something new flashed before me, like I'll show you, and I thought, oh, I have to do that, and boom, off I go. Anyway, so, you know, I'm easily bored. So I started to seek out patterns that would really, really engage me. Now this sweater, again, I started last November, October, November, and I finished it April or something. It's on my project page. Anyway, but it got really warm here and I couldn't really wear it. So now I can wear it all the time, and I have been wearing it. But at the same time, a friend of mine was giving some of her stash to her good friends, and one of them was me, and she gave me 2 skeins of Swans Island, and I love that yarn. It's a mix of Angora, I forget, it's on my project page. Anyway, but I made this Isabelle Kraemer sweater, which is also lovely. And again, the details are on my project page. It is Swans Island. It is an Isabelle Kraemer. It's my first Isabelle Kraemer complete sweater. I love it. I would say that this one, I would do some, so the different things I would do on this one. I, for the first time, put a faux seam in, and I have a good friend who's become a better friend during this whole episode we're having in 2020. Karen of KD Gecko Knits in California and I've become friends. We get on our Zoom calls every 2 weeks or so, and she always puts a faux seam down the side of her sweater, and I decided to do that, and actually it was written into this pattern to do that, and I would say I kind of like it. The other thing that Karen and I talked about was in a lot of these yoky sweaters like this or like this, you have a tendency where the arms raise the whole sweater. When you lift your arms, the whole sweater lifts up. Whereas a set-in sleeve sweater or even a raglan sweater, that doesn't always happen. So in order for the back not to lift up as much, is you add short rows to the back to lower the back hem. Now I know a lot of you some of you may have done that. I've never done that. And Karen gave me sort of some hints on how to do it, and I did it, and now I'm gonna do it for every sweater. I think I even did it for this sweater. Yeah, I did do it for this sweater. And you just add some short rows to the right above, before you do the ribbing at the end, just add some short rows, like 2 or 3 rows of it, and it just hangs enough down so that when you lift up your arms, the whole back doesn't go up as much as the front goes up. So now I've done it, and I've done it on this Isabelle Kraemer sweater, which is, I will tell you the name of it. I have to look over at my project page on Ravelry. Then I can tell you the yarn. But it is lovely, lovely yarn. And they had a sale on this yarn. And I bought, and each skein is like 500 yards. So for me, I only need like 2 skeins. Okay, what's it talking about? Oh yeah. This is the Hume, Y-U-M-E, Hume sweater by Isabelle Kraemer. So there's a lot of lovely lace detail. And the yarn is Swans Island, as I said. And it is their Sterling Collection fingering. I'm telling you, each skein is like 500 something yards. And you just go on and on. I love knitting with this yarn. And this yarn is, I want to say it is, yeah, alpaca and merino. So it is a little fuzzy, but I didn't mind that. And they use black alpaca. So as you're knitting, you see these little black hairs. And for first I thought, did my hair get in there? But it wasn't. It was the black hair of the alpaca, and it is super, super soft. I think if I did this sweater again, I might go a little shorter, but, and short sleeves, it was a great, great experience. Again, it's kind of warm to wear this in Atlanta in the, so it's kind of an early spring. Maybe I can wear it now if it's in the 70s, but I can easily wear a long sleeve t-shirt under it. So it is a winner to me. And I've been hooked on this color these kind of earthy, rusty colors now for quite a while, and you'll see some more of it. But anyway, those are my 2 sweaters that I completed during this crazy period. So I need variety. I need a lot of knitting varieties is the end of it, whether it's changing colors or adding short rows or adding a faux seam. I just need to break up the endless stockinette, which about drives me crazy. Now I will tell you about variety, and I will even say now, since the pandemic, this has got to be one of my most fun experiences knitting. This, and I have to thank Donna from Black Mountain Yarn Shop, who I showed her what I had and she added a little thing of color and it just changed it. This is the Casapinka olive pink shawl wrap. It's big. But look at all the different stitch patterns in it. I was fairly monogamous on this because I could not get enough of it. I wanted to see what's next. I still think of it. I think I'm showing you the wrong side. Sorry. It was so much fun. And so I had the gray and the gold colors. There's actually 2 colors of this sort of grayish, 2 different La Bien Aimee colors. And I had the gold, and Donna said, what you need is a little pop of color, and she recommended this beautiful La Bien Aimee blue color. And again, all the details and the names of the colorways are on my Ravelry page, but it's basically a La Bien Aimee, the whole thing. Casapinka, olive pink wrap. So it's so long, it's super long, but you know, my intention is to kind of wear it kind of like that, and I will wear this to death because, and again, this is the time of year, it will soon be the time of year to wear this kind of thing, but I am in love with it. Plus, you know, most of the La Bien Aimee was their sock weight, and it's just divine. And I think that was the thing about knitting variety. Like, I don't know, every 10 rows or so, there was a switch, either in color or pattern or something. So it really kept me interested. Like, it really kept me engaged. So I really wanted to work on this all the time. That's all I wanted to do. So that just said to me, when I was thinking about it, I thought, okay, getting easily bored, doing some things, not doing this, never bored doing this. So you can see that the patterns are, the stitch patterns just constantly change, and it's so fun. And there are stitch patterns I did not know anything about, which I think the intention she has. And there are somewhere I look at and I think, I can make a whole shawl with that pattern. I love that pattern. I keep wearing it inside out. Sorry. But yeah, it's just the funnest knit. So if you want to check my project page on that, and again, I will link everything below. I'll link the pattern and tell you exactly what yarns I used. But this is all La Bien Aimee, which I kind of collect because I love it. I love the yarn. I also had a lot of stash stress. I had so much stash that it started to stress me out. Not a little, like a lot. Like I kept looking at it and go, I will never knit with that. Never. So I started to sell it on Ravelry. I posted on Ravelry in one of the de-stash groups. And it really started to, in fact, I did a big one last week, and it really started to sell. I think as knitters, we go through different phases of liking certain colors. In the beginning of my knitting career, about 7 years ago, I really started to, well, even longer than that now, 9 years ago, I really started to, oh, I want to collect this kind of yarn. Oh, I want to do this kind of thing. Well, it turned out maybe it was a little too much. I still have a lot of it because I still want to, I could do a whole other olive pink shawl with the stash I have without it being Bien Aimee easily. So I might want to do that. I'll take this off. But anyway, this is a fun knit. I highly recommend it. Her instructions are, it just writes a beautiful pattern. So she's got a lot going on right now with Sharon from Security, her cat, one of her cats, her mystery knitting. I mean, she's just so much fun. And yeah, so I really recommend anything from Casapinka, particularly when you're knitting with such beautiful fibers. So that's always fun. I have not been buying very much because of the stash stress out thing. So I'm trying to look at, oh, that's a really beautiful pattern. What have I got in my stash before I'd gotten? I think I was one of those knitters where if the designer said, oh, I use this kind of yarn, I would go out immediately and buy that kind of yarn. Well, so some of my lessons are, don't really need to do that. I can just see what I have. And if I don't have something that's even close to that, I will buy some, obviously buy some in my preferred shops if possible to keep small businesses going during this whole thing, like Black Mountain Yarn Shop or my friends at Heart and Spirit Atlanta, you know, so I try to keep it kind of between those two. But the shawl knitting continues because Helen Stewart had her mystery shawl knit along, which I love to do, and as usual, way too big and way too long for me. However, this is 100% stash diving. I did not buy anything new. I just went to my stash and did it. And I really love how it turned out. First of all, I love Helen's patterns. I am a lace knitter. That was the other thing that I can proclaim. I am a lace knitter. I love to knit lace. I'm doing a project right now that's a lot of lace. I love it. I like the variety of it. I like to look at it. I love everything about it. So I proclaim myself an official lace knitter. I am a shawl knitter. I love shawls. Do I wear them all the time? Do I use them all the time? No, I probably will donate some of them to the Shepherd Center here in Atlanta, which is a spine and brain hospital where I get my MS treatments. And they are so lovely over there and such hard workers. I thought, you know what? Some of the healthcare workers really need, you know, some comfortable, wonderful shawls. Now, a lot of knitters knit like prayer shawls for the patients and stuff. I want to give these nice shawls to the healthcare workers. That's really what I want to do. So I need to call them. And my friend who's very involved with that group says you need to call the volunteer group. But anyway, this is Helen Stewart's Stillness Shawl. How big it is. It's huge. Again, this is total stash diving. This is a combination of Bien Aimee yarn and Leading Men Fiber Arts. Leading Men Fiber Arts had a fingering, which I saw at one of the shows that was here in Atlanta, and it was called Showstopper, in their Showstopper base, and the colorway is Smoky Quartz. Again, all this is on my project page. The rust is Bien Aimee, and the kind of grayish, brownish is also Bien Aimee, only because I had it in my stash. And it was like the perfect thing to use for this kind of project because her work is so delicate. And as you can see, there's striping, there's lace, there's yarn over sections. It's just, again, it's sort of a half circle shape, which I kind of find a little awkward. I mean, part of the reason I knit her shawls is because I just love her designs. So there's 100 ways to wear the shawl. I haven't figured it out yet, but some of them I just keep because to me it's art. To me, her work is so, it's like working on an art piece. That's the way I look at it. And some of the work that's been done on this Stillness Shawl has just been amazing. And yeah, I'm really glad I used these kind of earthy tone colors, but if you can see, I kind of in, I'm in this rusty, earthy color rut. I'm coming out of that now. So yeah, but I do love this shawl. I don't, there's probably 100 ways to wear it. I haven't quite figured it out. It might be this way, it might be another way, but again, a lot of knitting variety. Now, I will tell you, when you do a Helen Stewart mystery knit along, you be prepared. You will end, the stitch count you'll end on is something like close to 600. And for those of you who've been following my journey, you know that I probably have the capacity for no more than 350 is really when I get, everything starts to hurt. So what I did in order to retain the integrity of the shape of the shawl was I just shortened certain portions of it. And like the end is usually much longer. So I just shortened it by a few rows here and there and did that with this section. With each section, not the lace section, but the other sections, I did maybe not as many repeats of the stripes, but again, I made sure that the integrity of the shape stayed the same, which is sort of half circle, right? Big. But I am, give me a Helen Stewart shawl any day of the week. I mean, I must have knit, between her and Hohi, I knit most of my shawls. Either a Helen Stewart shawl or a Hohi shawl. I just love their mix of patterning. And again, goes right back to the point of not being so bored with knitting. I will tell you, I will show you a whip right now, which is a Hohi whip, which is the Age of Gold shawl, which I love. And geez, it's getting to the point where it's like, it's just endless stock, you know, endless garter. Although I do love garter shawls, so endless garter, and this will have a lace border. I have a friend, a local friend who is such a fast knitter. She started that about, I don't know, correct me, Allie, but it's something like, I don't know, a few weeks ago and it's done. I'm like, well, it's been on the needles for a while, only because I'm doing 17 other things. But it stays at my desk, and when I'm sitting at my desk, I will do a 2 or 3 rows. And it's 1, 2, 3, 4 increases every other row. So it'll go fast. If you sat there and just knit that, it'll be fast. I am not a television knitter. I do not knit in the evening simply because the chair is ergonomically incorrect for me. So I will make sure that I am always sitting and try to do at least 2 or 4 rows of that every few days. I'm making progress. I don't have that much more to go before I add the lace section. Then you add a lace section and that'll be that. So that'll be fun. And the yarn I'm using, Stash. I have no idea what yarn I'm using. It's lovely though. It comes with like another color. Well, anyway, so yeah, I'm doing that. Don't ask me how many whips I have, because if any of you know me, you know I have tons of it. All right, let me tell you, I went to a couple, I took a couple of Vogue Knitting Live virtual classes. I love them. First of all, I'm born and raised New Yorker, even though I've been down here more than I lived there in my life. But something about going to New York in January just does not appeal to me. So I thought, well, I'll never go to Vogue Knitting Live. And plus, I'm slightly disabled with my MS. I have kind of a wonky walk, so I would have to do a scooter. I am not, and also, most importantly, and regardless of my mobility issues, I do not function well in large crowds. I get very nervous, I get jumpy, and I've always been like this. So that kind of festival would really, yeah. But anyway, now they have these Vogue Knitting Live online classes, and I have to tell you, I love them. Anyway, so I took 2 of them in June. And it was a great experience. Sarah Solomon, who is a designer out of New York, did a basic cable class. I know how to cable, but not confidently. I'm not a confident cabler. I wanted to get a lot more confident. So I took a cable class from Sarah Solomon, and it was fantastic. If you have an opportunity to do that, do it. And my friend Amy, who's known as Urban Farm Wife on Instagram, designed a beautiful basic cowl. And the intent, as she said, the intent of that cowl is to sort of get people into cabling in a very kind of introductory way. So I decided I would buy her a pattern, a 246 cowl pattern. Again, I'll link all of this below. And I've decided to use, my Heart and Spirit gals had Julie Asselin yarn, nurtured. And so I made this cowl. And it's all cable. And I am, first of all, loving the cable experience and love this cowl. Now I have to reblock this cowl because it needs to be more block this way. Now, the yarn, Julie Asselin's Nurtured line, is an Aran weight yarn. I don't typically knit with Aran weight because it sort of hurts my hands to do it. But this was such a lovely project, and I figured this yarn would really showcase the cables, and it does. So it took like maybe a skein and a little more. I had 2 skeins of it, so maybe a skein and a little bit more, but I love it. And I will be wearing this a lot. And you know, the length is good. I'm putting on everything. The length is good, and when I tried it on, after it dried, I put it on inside out, kind of by mistake, and then folded it down. And it turned out that you can see a lot of it like this. So again, I need to reblock it and stretch it so it sits up a little higher, but I love it. And I will be wearing this a lot, you know, and it's a perfect Atlanta weather neck warmer. It's just perfect. So again, the colorway is listed, the details are listed on my project page in Ravelry. But after Sarah's course, I felt sort of emboldened to be able to do this. And she had hints of what cable needles she uses. And so I took all of that and ordered the cable needles, and they were fantastic. So, and I'll put that, I'll get it on Amazon. What kind are they? I don't know, these little wooden kind. And, oh, here it is. Here's the Brittany cable needles. They come in 3 sizes. Fantastic. I love them. And I've been using some of the cable needles as well, and they're also great. So again, I did this to get more confidence in cabling, and this did the trick. So this was another FO for my pandemic knitting, my lessons. So I'm really, and then her I'll get this off my bulletin board to show you. Before the class, they gave assignment to do a little swatch, and there was directions to do the swatch. And I think I used, I had some DK weight yarn, and I did this little swatch. Okay, so for cablers, you all know it's like no big deal. I love the swatch, but I lost the directions, and I couldn't find it. So I just contacted Sarah on Ravelry, and I said, I'm so sorry. I lost the directions from your class. Can you send them to me again? And she did, which was great. And I'm hoping to do just a basic scarf, all cable like this, because I just loved it. And I have enough yarn to do that with this yarn, and I love this yarn. I think it's Quince Phoebe DK is what I did. It's just a kind of off-whitey gray, and I love it. And I have it hanging on my bulletin board to remind me to get to that. Yeah, that and 17 other things. So that's good. And then I completely lost my sock mojo. I'm a sock knitter. I love knitting socks. I don't know what happened to me, but I lost it. I mean, I have socks on the needle that can be done in 2 days, but I'm like, ugh, I don't want to do it. I'd rather do other things. But I did in the early part of the this year when we were on lockdown. I did a pair of socks from the book 52 Weeks of Socks, which I think Laine magazine put out. And I love these socks. It's a slip stitch pattern. They are so great. I kind of can't remember the yarn I used. But you can see, I mean, they came out great. And it's a heel flap and gusset, which is kind of now my preferred heel, although I still love the afterthought heel. And then I have another sock that's just one sock that I just sitting there. It's waiting for me to do something. And I don't know. You know what? So many friends who have been through this, and I know I'll be back to my socks. I know I will be. But anyway, these are fun socks. They fit beautifully. And I enjoyed the pattern. Is very well written. And again, the pattern notes are in my Ravelry page. Again, I've never heard of this designer, but it was all charted slip stitch, and it was just the funnest. These were fun socks to knit. I've got some socks on the needles right now that are from Helen Stewart Sock Society. There's just one stitch that is really difficult for me. So I'm this much from the toe, and I decided I'm just going to do stockinette. And there is a lace panel on either side of the sock, which I'll continue to do. But there's this one kind of funky stitch that just kills me. It's just, I thought, you know what? It's on most of the sock has that pattern. Just finish it. So I'm just going to finish it when I get around to it. Yeah. So that was one pair of sock out of this whole. It's kind of crazy, but yeah, I lost the mojo. And I know a lot of people are into it. A lot of people. And one of my friends has knit this beautiful collection of socks for one of her daughters. Beautiful. Every one she's knit is like, one is more better than the other. But I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. I just lost it. And then, of course, I did the Empower People Cowl. Like, again, Casapinka seems to be my favorite these days. It's simple, garter stitch cowl, no big deal, increases every row, and then matches stitch it together, and you have a cowl. And this is the Empower People, really encouraging people to vote. And so a lot of people have made this cowl, and it is to be done in purple. So, and a lot of great designers have put out, and these are free patterns, by the way, on Ravelry. And a lot of designers have put them out. Nancy Marchant did a brioche version. Romy Hill did a lace version, which I really, really want to do since I love lace. But that's just gonna have to go. And I have the yarn. I have plenty of yarn to do it in purple, or some kind of purple variegated. I just am not, can't do it right now. But anyway, so that's my knitting stuff. I'm still knitting, by the way. I still have like a ton of stuff to knit. Speaking of lace, let me reach over and get this. I've also joined the Hohi Fall Knit Along, 2020 Knit Along. Picked a couple of her patterns, which I love, her patterns. And this is for a very special friend of mine's daughter who's getting married in late November. I'd like to go to the wedding. I would love to go to the wedding, but I'm a little leery about events that potentially could be super spreader events. So we're talking about what we're going to do. Anyway, I am going to gift her this shawl though. This is the Joji Locatelli shawl called the Venezia Shawl. Doesn't it look bride-like? It's so beautiful. I'm getting to the point, it's a diamond shaped shawl. I've never made one. And I'm getting to the point where you then start decreasing down, and the other side will be this shape too. So, and I tell you, it's so much fun to knit. It's so much fun to knit. I can hardly put it down. I am doing this with Suburban Stitchers yarn. It is, again, I can tell you, it is, I think, I love it because it's Yes, Suburban. It's a silky single. And I knew it when I saw the pattern on Hohi in Hohi's project, her Ravelry library. I thought that needs to be a single ply. That can't be. A lot of people have done it in all kinds of ply, but I really felt like for a wedding shawl, it needed to be single ply and light and airy. And I had this in my stash, intending to use it for something else. And so I was glad I had it. In fact, I have another skein of it. I'm really glad I used it for this because I think this would make a really lovely wedding shawl. Kind of looks old-fashioned-y to me, doily-like. But I love working on it because, again, it's a tremendous amount of stitch variety in it, and I just love it. And I always, with lace, I will always put a lifeline in. So there are just, 16 row sections. Each section is 16 row repeat. And so what I will do is I will put a lifeline in at the beginning of each section. And I have had to I did get screwed up because I took a call and I shouldn't have taken a call right in the middle of something. And I had to tear back to the previous section and restart, which is fine. It was no big deal. But so if you are a lace knitter or a beginning lace knitter, make sure you always use a lifeline at certain points so that if you do have to rip back, you don't have to rip all the way back. I did not do lifelines on this. I can't tell you why I didn't. I just didn't. I don't know. But that one is so dainty and so that I have to put a lifeline in. Okay. I have discovered crocheting. I've been wanting to crochet for quite a while now, and some of my friends are brilliant crocheters, and they've done some beautiful, beautiful work. And so I've discovered Carolyn Bloom of Bloom Handmade Studios. Please check out her work. It's amazing work, and she has this. One of her patterns is called the water arcade pattern, and you crochet little circles and you join them together and you can make a scarf. And I found it because Melissa of Espace Tricot did a whole scarf, and I thought, what is that? I love that. It's crochet. I was like, what? And so I started to investigate it more. Let me reach back here and get what I've done so far. I kind of get hung up. I think I need a Zoom call with Carolyn. I get hung up on the connection of the dots. So hold on. It's a great stash buster. Or you can, I've gone ahead and actually bought some of the yarn that Carolyn recommended. But in the meantime, I've been doing these wonderful little crochet circles using leftover spin cycle and leftover whatever I have. And in fact, my friend has done some spin cycle dyeing when she was at Squam last year, and she let me have some of hers as well. I think my issue is in connecting, where is it? I had a whole thing. Check out Carolyn's, when I look at how many circles I have. I have a lot of circles. And they're lovely. I love knitting these circles. I love crocheting these circles. These circles are so fun to do. Now, the issue for me seems to be connecting them. There is a way to connect them. And I just don't do a good job. I don't know what my problem is. I can't seem to memorize the connection. Where is it? Well, it's in here somewhere. And I've learned to use, different crochet hooks and figure out which works for me. And a lot of them do work for me. A lot of them, whether it's, I find seriously the most basic one by Boyd crochet hook kind of really works. I have some ergonomically correct ones. they kind of work some of the time. So it's fun. It's also a fun diversion from knitting, and something that I've long wanted to get into. I wanted crochet not to look so granny. And what I discovered is that it really does depend on the yarn you use and the colors you choose. And you can do some beautiful granny squares without them looking like granny squares. Okay, I'll show you. So I did a granny square. I love how this looks. I want to crochet, listen to me knit. I want to crochet like 10 of these. That's all. And I did another one. Again, these are DK weights. And I think for me that works. So I might try to figure out. So I've been doing a lot of tutorials on crochet. And there was one that actually walked me through step by step of this granny square. And then Carolyn from Bloom Handmade Studio recommended a couple of books that I've been using. Look, I've tagged ones, 20 crochet blocks. And so again, I think the ticket for a lot of this stuff, so it doesn't look so granny-ish for me anyway, is to do it in really subtle, good quality yarn colors. Maybe? I don't know, I'm still discovering. Plus I really don't want to do this kind of thing, like different colors. I want to try and stick with one color, or maybe colors that are complementary. I have a lot of mini skein sets that I think would work well, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. But I encourage you to try crochet if you have not. And if you are a crocheter, I'm jealous of you. Okay. And I think there have been some really great patterns out there. I know Casapinka, Bronwyn, has put out a really simple granny square project, which I know a lot of knitters are working on. And so I'm kind of in love with crochet right now. So again, with this shoulder issue, it's like one constant repetitive process, and so it bothers my shoulders, which is why I have to put them down a little bit, but I'll pick it back up. She had another pattern which I'm in love with, but I will show you. Hold on a second, I'll be right back. Whoops. I'm right here. What happened to that one? She has another pattern. Carolyn has another pattern. And you make these little blue, beautiful, from Cannon hand-dyed yarns, and somehow you attach them. I think you're supposed to attach them as you go, but I'm not confident enough, so right now I'm just experimenting on my little squares, but it's so much fun. And I know one of my friends, Sherlyn, is working on Water Arcade as well, just doing a whole bunch of little circles and working on that. So that's what I've been doing. Don't ask me what I have on the needles. It's kind of ridiculous. I've been listening to a lot of videos, watching a lot of videos of people that I really admire and love to watch, and learning. Barbara Benson, I think she's Tumped, Tumped, Tumped Duck, and I'll link her information below. Talked about what the difference is between a monogamous knitter, what does she call them, and that's me, and how, process knitter and project knitter. And a process knitter, I'm a process knitter. I love the process of knitting. At the end of the day, when the project is finished, and if I'm a little about it, I'll probably never wear it or never use it again. Project knitters will knit one specific project all the time, only that project, and usually they will wear it and have it forever. I would say I'm a process center. When I'm finished with a project, I don't care about wearing it all the time. I'll be happy to donate it or give it away. I mean, I like to hold on to them for a while. And, you know, something that's a Helen Stewart shawl, which to me is like a work of art. I probably would never part with that. But some of the other shawls I've knit, I'll give them away. I like to give away hats. Yeah. So that's little discoveries of my knitting experience during this lockdown, pandemic, restricted movement space. Also during this whole time, we had a beach house, of course about 6 hours away down the Gulf Coast on the Panhandle. We sold that during the pandemic. Who sells house? And I have to say that down in the Panhandle, Florida, they weren't as strict about wearing masks. They were strict, but they weren't. A lot of people weren't wearing masks in this grocery store, which isn't the case in Atlanta. We're all wearing masks. Kind of strange down there. But we ended up selling it, which was great because it was on the market for about 8 months. And then bam, it was like the contract came and in 15 days we closed and done. And while we miss it, I think it would have been a great place to get away while this was going on. I'm not sad. It became a little bit, it's a lot of work to run 2 households. So we sadly sold it, but it's a place we can always go back to and will go back to. So I'm not that sad about it. Because it's not the end. It's not like I'm never going there again. I probably will, but different places to explore down there. All right, this is a long podcast. I'm so sorry. Video on my YouTube channel. Stop calling it a podcast. It's not a podcast. I would like to thank all of my subscribers for hanging on. I will probably, I won't promise you when I'll be back, but hopefully I'll be doing this a little bit more often. I have enough whips and maybe I'll get finished with it. We've had a lot of issues come up this year, but one of the saddest for me was Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg's passing, and it was really sad for me. So I am, in her honor, making a sweater which was designed by Andrea Rangel, which is the Descent sweater. So, and a lot of what I've knit and what I've shown you is kind of, I don't say bland colors, but toned down colors or earthy colors like this and some of the other things I've knit. So I'm using a Spin Cycle, which is really a bright color, and Quince Finch for that Descent sweater. So I'm working on that. That's a lot of fun. I'm trying to be monogamous, well, semi-monogamous on this bridal shawl for my friend's daughter, but we'll see. The wedding is November 21st. And I think how he's knit along, fall knit along, ends at the end of November. I'm also making a hat. I have 2 projects. But my experience with that knit along is to just for me, is pick manageable, smaller projects that I know I can finish amongst everything else that I do. I've been chattering, so there's no special chatter except to say that this kind of lockdown time has given me a lot of opportunity to do things that I've been wanting to do for some time, such as the cabling and the crochet, learning how to add short rows to a hem, doing more sweaters. I do love sweater knitting. Also, and I love taking those Vogue Knitting Line courses. Knit Stars 5. If you have an opportunity to do Knit Stars 5, this is my pitch. Please sign up. I think Early Bird finishes tomorrow or something. The program's gonna start in early November, and they've done a little bit differently, but there's some fantastic stars that are gonna be on it. I've been a huge Knit Stars fan since the first season of it. I've been an all-star or something? I get every season. I just love them. So I encourage you to take a look at Knit Stars and see if you can get in. Also, I think that's it. I'm sure there's more, but I'm sure I've forgotten what I was going to say. But thank you so much to all of my subscribers, if you're still around. Thanks to all of my knitting friends, and thanks to all these opportunities that this strange pandemic has afforded us, like being able to take classes at Vogue Knitting Live. Who knew, right? Who knew? From my favorite designers, I can take classes now, and I didn't even know that I could. So that was really special. Oh, well, I did take one last, was it? In September, I took Julie Weissenberger Cocoa Knits had a class on her style, her method, which, by the way, was on Knit Stars 1, which I remember watching in Knit Stars 1 thinking, what? I don't get this. What is it? And that was about 5 or 6 seasons ago, 6 years ago. And I will say that the class was excellent. It was excellent class. And Julie Weissenberger's Cocoa Knits method, sweater knitting method. And I would suggest, if you want to look into that, it's just a different way of doing increases, and it's more tailored. So English tailoring is sort of part of her methodology, how to do English tailoring. So it's a great thing. So I took that class, and then I went back to Knit Stars 1 and rewound. And this is why Knit Stars is so great. You keep all of this stuff forever. So I went back to Knit Stars 1, and I looked at it. It's the exact same class. Now with Vogue Knitting Live, you don't get that opportunity to record it or keep it. It's in Knit Stars 1, I could go back, and it's the same class. It's like, oh, duh. And so I watched that whole class all over again. And it sort of verified for me what it was. So Knit Stars is good for that. But the class was excellent, and it features making a baby sweater. And I'm one of my closest friends to me. I call her my Atlanta niece. She's expecting a baby in February. So I'm quick trying to knit a baby blanket and maybe a sweater. Maybe, if I can get there. Yeah, it's on the list. It's on the list. I'm also trying to take pressure off myself to finish things. Things will get finished, except for this lace wedding shawl. There is a deadline for the wedding shawl. There's a wedding. Yeah, I know there's lots more to tell you, but I think I've used my time up for now. Thank you so much for dropping by. Please subscribe. Hit the subscribe button below. I occasionally have some giveaways. I occasionally have some new things to talk about, new acquisitions. I have been very, very specific about buying yarn this year. Like the Finch, I'm making the Descent sweater. I needed 2 more skeins for my size. I just ordered that. I had 5 and I need 2 more. So I'm just being very judicious. I'm trying to go through a lot of my stash where I do have a lot of sweater quantities and stuff. And I just saw Hohi's new sweater called the Ritual sweater, which I love because it has color changes and lace, right up my alley. And I have the perfect yarn for that. I don't need to buy anything. I have it. So that's good. All right, love you all, and be safe, and get your flu shot. I have my flu shot. Got it already. Done. So, and 6 feet apart or more, wash your hands, wear your mask. Love you all. Thanks for stopping by, and see you soon, I hope. Bye.